Hi, welcome to week 6. This week we are getting a little bit more serious, intense, getting into a weird period of time. So we're going to be looking at wartime animation. We're talking about World War II here. I wanted to start with an animated short by Anthony Gross. This was in 1934. And he was just an upcoming animator that was proving to be very successful until the war hit. So we'll take a look. So, very interesting, right? I don't want this to play again. Okay. Gross, Anthony. Oops. I'll go back here. He was a really talented animator. I mean, did you see the flow in the fabrics and how much movement there was? And everything was kind of experimental. You know, it was kind of realistic, but obviously not realistic. But the flow was really beautiful. The hair, the fabric, the long legs, and how they moved. Everything was really interesting here. He liked to experiment with art a lot, and then he found out about animation and just like jumped right in. He kind of wanted to follow a Disney-esque type feel, but he enjoyed experimenting and decided to apply his own contemporary style to popular animation. So this was his third film. And then he began working on a feature-length animated film of Jules Verne's Around the World in 80 Days. But then the outbreak of war put a stop to his project. You know, and again, this La Joie de Vivre was a really kind of just fun short. It's about two girls, you know, running around, and a guy finds one of their shoes and then he wants to return it, and then they just go biking off into the sky together. So light and fun and just pretty, and then war hits. Now, we've got a couple things going on here. So in 1937, Japanese army went to war with China, and this led to very nationalistic animations. So I want to show you kind of animations from different parts of the world. This is from 1939.
What would happen if a kite weren't tethered to the ground?
What would happen? Here we go.
な小手がれに不動修行の必要はない。ある。ない。ある。ない。ある。ない。ある。ない。ある。ない。なんだねんじゃる。父の敵、平家を滅ぼし、源氏を起こさんため。偉いぞ偉いぞ。だがあれではいかん。どうじゃわしが教えてやろう。では人たち参るか。ごめん。
All right, and you can continue to watch this one, but I just want you to kind of think about, look at the principles of animation, look at the style, look at the character design, look at how they're using their composition, and see if, I mean, even if we're just looking in the United States, how things are different from company to company, but especially when we look around the world. Now, this was kind of a folktale or funny animation aimed towards a child, which we might think some things are different if you watch the whole thing. But this one was recorded to a track. So they actually did the music track first and then did the animation. Now, there were a lot of anti-Japanese propaganda movies that were made or animations that were made. China and Japan were both trying to create different types of animations. So now, World War II, 1939 to 1945. I just want to let you know in advance the things that we're going to be watching in this module can be very offensive, they can be racist, and they can be political, okay? This was a huge time for animation, okay? We were able to kind of guide people in the way we wanted to with animated films, or we could gain patriotism. We could show, you know, Americans going to war and how wonderful it is and get excitement, get people behind their country. No matter what country you were from, you would show that your country is the best and you would put down, you know, whoever you were at war with. There were hundreds of training films that were animated, created for the Army, and patriotic propaganda was created for the home front. De Fuhr's Face is an actual Oscar-winning animation, so take note of that. De Fuhr's Face, Oscar winner. Let's take a look at this.
In time of war, it's typical, sometimes even useful, to demonize your enemy. We still see this today whenever a dictator or despot comes to power anywhere in the world. Caricatures and jokes, not always in the best of taste, rise to the forefront because it's our way of relieving aggression. So it was in World War II. Some people feared Adolf Hitler. Others mocked him. The Disney staff came up with the idea for a cartoon to be titled Donald Duck in Nazi Land, giving the all-American duck a nightmare that he was living in a country run by Nazis. The title changed when a song written for the cartoon by Oliver Wallace became a runaway hit and a now classic recording by Spike Jones. It then became essential to change the name of the cartoon to De Fuhr's Face. It's easy to see why the film was so popular. It's very, very funny, reducing the serious tenets of Hitler's Nazism to slapstick absurdities. And it gave audiences a chance to think, as Donald does, about the freedoms they might have taken for granted.
Am I glad to be a citizen of the United States of America?
To Fuhrer's Face, directed by Jack Kinney, won the Academy Award as Best Animated Short Subject of 1943.
All right, so again, Oscar winning. Everybody kind of went to war at this time. Any character that could and could gain excitement went. Popeye, Mickey Mouse, Daffy Duck, Bugs Bunny, Woody Woodpecker, all of these characters were going to war, and this really hit a peak for character animation. Disney was the one that got most of the funds for this, but everybody was pushing out wartime shorts and making some really interesting animation choices. So, for Disney, between 1940 and 1944, the Disney's total output was great, but obviously the war really altered everything. Disney was actually not doing well. They were going to have to fold because of bankruptcy, but they got a huge payday to do government films, aka these propaganda, wartime training films and all of that. And it allowed Disney to keep their best artists on board and allowed them to do more work. We'll look at that in like a few minutes, however. So Education for Death. I have this short here, and it kind of explains everything about it. So let's take a look.
Disney is easily the most recognizable and powerful media corporation in the whole world. When it comes to the production of animated films and shows, there's no other company on Earth that even comes close. But it wasn't always this way. In fact, in the 1940s, Disney was very close to shutting its doors forever. But a well-timed deal with a government contractor saved the company from destruction and brought us one of Disney's most thought-provoking and important films ever made. Today we'll take a look at how Education for Death came to be, why it's so crucial, and how it manages to be one of Disney's most profound works of art. So let's wind the clock back to 1940. Disney was in some serious hot water, to say the very least. Walt Disney, a man who never strayed from an opportunity to show the world how quirky he was, ended up spending 4 times the originally intended budget on Fantasia, that year's big-budget release. Of the film, he said, "Fantasia, to me, is a whole new opportunity. For my medium, it opens up unlimited possibilities." Well, it didn't do that, but what it did do was deeply embarrass the company when it turned out to be a financial and critical failure. This would have been bad enough on its own, but Disney was facing a lot of other troubles at the time that threatened to destroy the company. Half of their entire workforce was striking for better working conditions, and financial mismanagement and overspending had made it so Disney was basically a hair away from filing bankruptcy. It was only then that a minor miracle came for Disney in the form of Lockheed, better known today as Lockheed Martin. You see, Walt Disney was a real America-loving patriot, and as such, he formed a close bond with the military contractor. So close was their relationship that Disney designed over 1,200 military insignias for jackets and planes, beginning in the early 1930s and lasting throughout World War II. Disney also allowed the U.S. Army to use the studio as a place for soldiers to rest. Using this very close relationship to his advantage, Walt Disney managed to convince Lockheed to obtain a government contract for Disney. This contract consisted of a commission from the U.S. government for 32 propaganda films, which Disney was paid $4,500 each, totaling $144,000. A fun fact, by the way, adjusted for inflation, that's about $2.9 million in 2021 money, and that number is only 14% of
You may have to search for it. I just really liked kind of the step-by-step of what actually happens here. So a lot to kind of think about, and we are going to be going over a little bit more in the discussion board here. Now, Disney's full-length features during the war. Disney needed the war, right? That sounds so strange. Disney needed war. They were going to go bankrupt, and they got a lot of government projects that gave them money to fund other things. So the movies that were created during this time were Fantasia and Pinocchio, The Reluctant Dragon, Saludos Amigos, and Victory Through Air Power, Dumbo, and Bambi. I have scenes from kind of each one here. Full movies are, of course, on Disney Plus or can be rented, but I do want to look at the scenes here. Now, think about the money that went into these. Remember, Fantasia went very over budget. So it was over budget and was not a successful film. Not. Before we actually take a look at these, I want you to know, Pinocchio also wasn't very successful. And these, Pinocchio and Fantasia, they had very high production costs. And Disney no longer, because of the war, had foreign markets. So they lost money that way too. This worked well because they were still able to do Dumbo and Bambi, and some people think these are among the greatest Disney movies of all time. And then there were the 3 cheaper films that I kind of listed in the middle here, notable for experimentation with live footage and the way that they reflect situations in the studio and abroad. So I have scenes here from each one. Because of copyright, I want you to look through them and watch them all. There will be some quiz questions based on these. But just some little facts. So Dumbo was inexpensive but succeeded more than merely a novelty film. It was just a little over an hour, and obviously it's a tale of an elephant with a baby elephant with very large ears. And, ridicule, and there was circus, all this stuff. But it was a warm, heartfelt story with some very interesting scenes with different styles, so they got to explore some different content. I almost forgot to mention, my word of the week is carrot, as in orange and delicious. Anyway, Bambi, also heartwarming, obviously has some sad moments. If you haven't seen it, I won't spoil it. Not that it's a new movie or anything like that. But Disney tried to go more towards realism, okay? As with Dumbo, however, the mother-child relationship is emotionally affecting, and the colorful side of characters like Thumper and the friend Owl are interwoven into the coming-of-age story here. There are a lot of effects in Bambi in the animation, and so it was more than just a purely narrative animated film. Okay, so mainly this kind of style wouldn't be seen again until the 1950s with Cinderella. All right, so take a second to look through these. So pause, and then we can come back. All right, so we've talked an awful lot about Disney, and around this time, we found a real powerhouse team of animators that were working at Warner Brothers. You're going to want to write these names down. We have Tex Avery, Chuck Jones, Bob Clampett, and Fritz Freleng. You've heard some of these names before, but they're about to kind of change history. We'll say it. Tex Avery we looked at a little bit earlier, but here's A Wild Hare from 1940.
Very quiet. I'm hunting rabbits.
wabbit twags. A wabbit hole. Wabbits love cowards. Oh, wabbits, wabbits, guns, wabbit twaps, cowards, wabbits, 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 wabbits. Can you imagine anybody acting like that? You know, I think the poor guy's screwy.
And you can see they end with "That's all, folks," which will remain for quite a while. I don't know why this is pictured twice, but it's the same, just one clip. And again, this was Bug's first appearance as we know him. With 3 simple words: "What's up, Doc?" A new era in Warner Brothers cartoons. History had begun. Again, Bugs had appeared in previous ones, but Tex Avery really took him and ran with him. And they had a powerhouse team of directors as well as animators. They all complemented each other's strengths. These 4 animators that I've highlighted here kicked off another golden era of animation. It's worth pointing out that while other Hollywood studios were hesitant to mix politics with business, before Pearl Harbor, Warner Brothers had reason early to take a stand against Nazi Germany. The studio closed its German distribution office in the late 1930s. A Warner Brothers representative was killed by Nazi thugs, so they kind of cut it off, and then they were like, well, we can freely voice our opinion here. Bugs became a symbol of America's resistance to Hitler. And this was a big time where we needed new characters. You know, Mickey and crew were great, but there were distractions that were needed. There was guidance that was needed. And so this was a really great time for these characters. Daffy became a real force of nature. Here's just an example of a clip around that time period. This is Daffy Duck. I'm going to fast forward just a little bit after we get through this. You know, people sometimes needed an escape, and this was a great way for them to get it.
Favorite vegetable, duck.
swimming. Other cavemen get to go swimming, but I never get to do anything. Well, what are you looking at? Don't just stand there. Do something. Now go get it. The big lummox. Now isn't that clever? The hunter's helper. Now come on!
Not bad for a guy that never took a lesson in his life.
Wait here.
Here you are, girlie.
Gee, thanks a lot. Well, just what I wanted. A duck breakfast. Gee, I can hardly wait. Come on, Fido. Gee, we're almost there. Wow.
You know, maybe that wasn't such a hot idea after all.
Good night, folks.
All right. So it's interesting, too, to think about what was humorous around that time, but look at the exaggeration. You know, we will have a discussion board, but look at the exaggeration. Look at the squash and stretch here. Think about the timing. Chuck Jones, okay? Chuck Jones created the Dover Boys, among many. But the Dover Boys cartoon was one of his most popular or most memorable. It's brothers on a university campus. It really shows Chuck's style. So take a look at the style. See what you think. This is the Dover Boys.
Pimento University. Pimento U. Good old P.U.
Pimento U, oh sweet P.U. Thy fragrant odor scents the air. A pox on Yale, poo-poo Purdue. Pimento U, my college fair. Oh, sweet
Out and away the most popular fellows at, Out and away the most popular fellows at old P.U. are the three Dover boys. Tom, the fun-loving member of the trio. Dick, a serious lad of 18 summers, plus a winter in Florida, as related in the Dover boys in the Everglades. And Larry, the youngest of the three brothers. A gay outing at the park has been planned by the merry trio, and they're off to fetch their fiancée, dainty Dora Standpipe, at Miss Cheddar's Female Academy close by. With their usual punctuality, the boys arrive at the appointed hour of 3.
Yoo-hoo! Yoo-hoo!
And are soon on their rollicking way. Forced to pass a certain public house, a tavern of unsavory repute, our young friends meet the distressing situation with their usual uncompromising moral fortitude. Little do they know that even now, within this very tavern, Dan Backslide, the former sneak of Roquefort Hall, coward, bully, cad, and thief, and arch enemy of the Dover boys, squanders his misspent life.
Hark! The Dover boys. Trap them. Double trap them. They are escorting Dora Standpipe. Dear rich Dora Standpipe, how I love her! Father's money. Confound those Dover boys! Oh, how I hate them! I hate Tom! I hate Dick! And I hate Larry! They drive me to drink! Confound them.
But let us draw the curtain on this sordid scene and turn to more pleasant surroundings, where we find our young friends engaged in a spirited game of hide, go, and seek.
20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55.
No! In here!
No, up here!
No, over here!
Over here. In here.
No, in here!
No, in here. Over here.
Over here!
Oh, over here. Over here.
In here!
In here. Over here.
Go here!
Over here.
Not here! No.
510, 515, 500.
Over here. Over here. Here.
Over here!
Whoops. Sorry.
Over here!
Over here. Over here. No! In here! The Dover boys. Then Dora must be alone and unprotected! A runabout. I'll steal it! No one will ever know!
Poor Dora. Will no one save her from this predicament? Will no one come to her assistance? But hold on. What's this? It looks like an alert young scout. And that's just what it is. He'll not fail her, I'll venture.
Telegram for the Dover boys. Mrs. Tom, Dick, and Larry, Caraway with Tavern Upper Bottleneck, New York. Says, quote, help! Unquote. Signed Dora. 35 cents collect. Help, Tom! Help, Dick! Help, Larry!
Oh, Dora dear, sweet Dora dear, keep courage up and chin held high. The stalwart sons of OPU are here at hand to do or die. P.U., we're all for you. Yay, boo!
Unhand her, Dan, backslide. Unhand her, Dan, backslide. Unhand her, Dan, backslide. Hey, we're getting in a rut. Stand up and fight, you coward, bully, cat, and thief. Oh, you haven't been thrashed enough yet, eh?
And now it is time to say goodbye. Goodbye.
So I hope you can see kind of the humor, the style. You know, start looking at some of these and see like, oh, that kind of looks like a Tex Avery animation, or oh, that kind of looks like a Chuck Jones animation. So Bob Clampett worked on, I almost said Donald. This is not Donald. Worked on Daffy for a lot. Had a lot of fun with Daffy's personality and was able to kind of show a lot of his talent here. Clampett is also very well known for his short Coal Black and the Seaborn Dwarfs. You can look it up. I'm just going to let you know this is a very racist short film. It's considered one of his most respected films because it has high spirits, fast action, and lively music. So animation-wise, yes, and as we go further into the term, I think I may have mentioned, but we're going to look at morals in animation and how do we create things for the greater good, and not to hurt people. But anyway, here is a look at Bob Clampett. After
my
an ad.
job is to make college easier because students
Yeah, we'll just leave it at that. Skip these ads now. You can see Robert Clampett, supervisor here.
I want a divorce.
I want a divorce.
I want a divorce. I want a divorce. I want a divorce.
Please. The first case is duck, V.S. duck. Mr. Daffy Duck. Mrs. Daffy Duck. I want a divorce. The best years of my life slaving over a hot nest. And what thanks do I get? You buy-yard boom. Never mind that was turned, he did it. You fugitive from a feather bed. Well, you water-soaked weasel. Don't stand there. Say something. Say something. Don't you dare open your your lives? I want a divorce. I want a divorce. Now, Mrs. Duck, just a minute. Just a minute. Suppose you tell us just what happened. Well, Your Honor, everything was going along all right until one day last week. I had to go over to my mother's and, now, Daffy, I may be a little late, so I want you to sit on Junior and keep him warm till I get back. And if you don't, I'll wring your full neck. Yes, my love. Remember now, none of your nonsense. Yes, my love. Now listen, you stay in the house and keep that egg warm. Yes, my love. 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 What's that? Yes, my love. A razzmatazz and alakazam. Pretty good. Boy, oh boy, if Major Bulls could only see me now. Observe closely. Nothing up here. Nothing up here. And nothing up here. Hocus pocus, flippity flap. A razzmatazz and alakazam. Hocus flippity flam, a razzmatazz and alakazam. Hocus pocus flippity flam, a razzmatazz and alakazam. Say, is there a magician in the house? The little woman. Hello, sweetie pie. How's Junior? Is he all right? Well, get up and let me see him. Get up, I said. Mama's little darling. Daffy, this is the last straw. I want a divorce. I want a divorce. I want a divorce. I want a divorce. And, what have you got to say for yourself, Mr. Duck? Please, Judge, give me just one more chance. Well, all right, but remember, just one more chance. Alakazam, and you get an egg. Oh, dear. And for 15 years, I've been doing it the hard way.
So again, really character animation was at a high here. Other cartoons do go to war. Popeye, a lot of the superheroes, Superman, we will take a look at that later. I have a bunch of clips here on the making of Coraline. Stop motion animation we talked about a little bit ago, but I think these are really, really interesting. They're short, easy to watch. I'm not going to play them for copyright, but take a look. Like, the scenes are so impressive, and it is so cool to think about. You know, they need to figure where the animator is going to be and how they can fit within the set and get the camera in. So take a look at these videos. The bottom one is optional. Then we have a discussion. So find a short or feature that was made during this time period and write how the war affected the artist or company. There could be a positive, negative, or little effect. Probably not little, but maybe. Talk about the work they did during this time period. Try to look around the world, and you cannot do Disney. In your response post, you need a minimum of 2, don't forget. Discuss if you think the short was successful or could use improvements. Again, think about the time. It was all about your country and how awful everyone else was, or, you know, people who looked like you. So let's kind of touch on that as well. But in your critique, pay particular look at arc, timing, and squash and stretch. You can include exaggeration in there. I know I talked about it earlier, but you know, if you were to do Tex Avery's, what do you think make Tex Avery in animation against somebody else's? Then you have your weekly quiz, and other than that, you are good to go. So let me know if you have any questions and enjoy watching some of the videos.